MSD podcast, Fade, Forget, Fail. The facts of the matter with not keeping up training in regard to skills fade, forgetting what is required to be capabilities best ready and prepared, and failing to achieve progression or failing to threat neutralize under assault are all negatives, realities of not maintaining a current capability status. This podcast is largely about individuals' mindsets when they apply for training, are undergoing training, and changes in their levels of commitment, including when they become dormant members that are inactive and as such have not maintained the current capability status but still maintain membership. Society changes in regard to just how goal-driven and mentally tough people are or have become is a major factor in the reasoning for ever-increasing numbers of applicants of low-level commitment and mental toughness when it comes to striving for being the best exponent one can be. Times have changed from my days as an exponent when it comes to a lot of those that sign up for MSD and MIL CQC training today. Some even sign up with little or no intention of fronting up, and it would appear they do this because it gives them something to talk about or brag about and nothing more. Then there are those that join up with far less than determined, committed attitudes and self-eliminate as fast as they begun. Exponents' dedication and commitment back in the 70s and 80s percentages was much higher than today, as well as their attention to detail, responsibility and reliability. Those that applied would go through with courses and training, joining, and many would train for decades and even grow old as an active training member, and were all respected for their dedication and commitment, proven hands-on. They would read the joining instructions and information and would tend to all requirements and would be reliable and punctual with their training attendance and support of the group and group activities. They would be quietly confident, committed, and strive to self-improve and for progression. There were not the high numbers of quitters and excuse makers of today, and they knew their position and status. Today, so many do not go through with applications and make excuses why they cannot start or continue. All too many blame everyone else and everything else for their shortcomings. You would think the modern-day communications were absolutely broken, with all the blame put on emails and cell phones for not receiving comms or their comms not being received. The facts of the matter from our perspective is if exponents want to undergo training and attend courses, they will if they are up for the training and testing challenges and have the dedication and commitment. Membership, when exponents are able and capable, should mean they are active and striving to achieve. More than likely, some financial members that are not active long-term rest on their laurels of previous training and testing input and achievements. They simply don't get it that maintained capabilities competency requires being involved and active, as training is a task to be continued, and that without regular continuation training, the rust and laziness sets in. There are members through age, injuries or ailments that cannot maintain an active status, and that is unfortunate but understandable, and they are welcome to attend their specific phases of training and do what they can or observe. Those that want to maintain membership with no intention of attending training or courses when they are capable and able makes no sense and is not in line with being a training member or a non-HQ country member. It is the dedicated and committed that achieve progress and are known and respected for their dedication and commitment, not only to their maintaining a current capability status, but also by putting back in some of what they received by instructing or assisting with instructing. Now to some of the realities of not being involved and active in MSD and MIL CQC for an extended period. Even though such training is based on simple, proven, foul means and methods, inactivity, rust, and loss of skills capabilities is a fact of the matter when months and years of inactivity are racked up. As the CQC adage goes, you are only as capable as you are current, active, and committed. For HQ training exponents, the easiest thing you will do is your intake induction, and as far as progression goes, the Phase 1 basic test is considerably less physicality, skills intensity, and duration required than Phase 2 advanced training that requires a minimum of 400 training hours prior to being able to volunteer for testing, and the Phase 2 testing phase is considerably more arduous and demanding than Phase 1 testing. Phase 3 requirements include over 500 training hours to achieve an enabling level of competency, and proponents must also complete a specialist close personal protection 2-week-long intensive course of instruction. Members that resign and reapply have to undergo retraining and testing, and that can be considerably more challenging if the years have gone by and their desire is not what it previously was, and their capabilities, including physical capabilities, have slipped. Instructors need to lead by example by maintaining an active instructing status and also a current training status by attending courses to ensure they are up with the most current tactics and skills, training delivery, means and methods. MIL, CQC and MSD are living progressive specialist tradecrafts that demand hands-on active involvement to maintain a current competency and capability status. MSD and MIL CQC can be for life simply by training at a level commensurate with one's physical capabilities, and when this is not possible, by observing and assisting with training delivery. Inactivity by non-attendance and non-participation, rust and skills fade are realities, as everyone is only as capable and current as they are active. And by active, I mean undergoing ongoing continuation training to maintain a current competency and capability status and achieve advancement, including rank. The facts of the matter are, if there's a will, there is a way. And if they really want to be at training, they will be there. Making excuses like changes in season, cold winter, travel, parking, they are no more than excuses why not to be there, not reasons to be there. It comes down to the acronym WAR, willing, able, ready, making time, making the effort, putting in the hours, and reaping the benefits and rewards. The longer the time out of participating in ongoing training, and the fact of the matter is that skills fade will become forgetting skills, or the forgetting of skills components and then executing them incorrectly. Such loss of competency and capabilities can cause skills failure that, in an actions on under assault, can end in being defeated and injured. Even returning to training after long-term inactivity can make getting back up to speed difficult and challenging, and can lead to training injuries by not being as physically capable as previous. No one gets any younger, and maintaining capabilities is so important, so not to have to prove yourself again to yourself and to your peers and instructors, including having to retest that can end in failure to achieve objectives and passing testing. There should be no excuses if you are honest with yourself and truly want to be a training member that is capable of attending training courses, joining and participating, which comes down to being able to maintain a current status. As a specialist training provision organisation, we do not want any long list of members that are not involved active exponents, proponents and instructors, but what we do want is driven, dedicated and committed hands-on members, always striving for skills, highest levels of capabilities. Then there is the realities of, through inactivity and non-involvement, being unknown by those that joined up after one ceased training, and on reapplication acceptance, you become the unknown new exponent amongst them. This can be a real reality check when current exponents, including those with less rank, are too much for one, not only physically, but also in skills, competency and capabilities to foot it with, as well as having knowledge of the most current primary practices that those that have been dormant do not have. Rejoining, especially after a long time of not undertaking training, can be a tough road to recover capabilities. It's not only getting back up to speed with prior learnt skills, it's learning the current new primary skills added to the training packages after you cease training. All members must understand that skills progression and training means and methods never go backwards and only positively progress, providing superior capabilities and better objective achievement outcomes in regard to safest, most effective, threat-specific neutralisation. Members that train at HQ or depots weekly, or country members that attend a week-long intensive course annually can maintain a current status and combine this with doing some out-of-training practice, and that would enable the maintaining of a current and capable status. It is important that depot instructors maintain a most current primary practice status, or they cannot fully prepare their depot members as phase testing candidates. To less than fully prepare an exponent for testing and have them as a testing candidate armed with lesser capabilities than other candidates is not best practice. While most skills that are battle-proven stand the test of time, the fact of the matter is exponents and candidates armed with the most current primary practices have an edge, not only because they are the most current primary practices, but because they will be the unknown to exponents and testing candidates that have not been privy to them. Fortunately, with phase tests being conducted at the end of a week-long intensive course of instruction, we can identify individual candidates' shortcomings on such courses and upskill them, but they still will not have the high repetition practice of the most current primary practices of those that have regularly been training in them. We factor in checks and identifiers to best ensure everything is equal in pre-testing training. But if candidates are not continuously attending training and courses, they will either be declined for testing, or their testing outcomes can be negatively affected by not being as competent as those that have continuously trained. We must do this to ensure we maintain standards and for training continuity, to positively maximize training hours on course by not having exponents that are way behind the other course attendees, and to make sure safety and best chances of passing are maintained. This is why we brought in some time ago the resigned members reapplication requirement to have to rejoin at an entry-level training and upskill and retest. We may have to do something similar for members that are dormant for long periods of time before they can rejoin their previous phases of training. The Todd Group, as the training HQ source, provide not only the training but also develop the training resources and training equipment and kit, as well as in-depth skills information through our e-magazine CQC Times and our MSD podcasts. Members receive update emails and as such know exactly what is required and what they need to do, so there can be no excuses made for not being able to get all the information and kit required. Members can get their questions answered at HQ training, on courses, or by contacting us at HQ by email. This leads into society changes in individuals' levels of commitment, attention to detail, and some negative traits and attitudes, including not being able to understand their entry-level place on the food chain. Many applicants simply are just not fit for training, or very quickly identify as lacking in inner resolve and do not respect the chain of command, or do not like being told what to do. Fortunately, they usually self-eliminate, but some can be problematic when it comes to breaching codes of conduct and abiding by rules and regulations, which can lead to having their membership revoked. Anyone applying for courses joining or HQ training, and all members must realise that training in our MIL, CQC and MSD is a privilege as a civvy and not a given right, and there is a code of conduct that must be adhered to, and any member that breaches codes of conduct, rules and regulations could well find their first such unacceptable action will be their last connection with the training group. As the old saying goes, you're only as secure as your first breach. That will most likely be your last action as a member. There seems to be so many more people today that are so much less mentally tough and resilient, and there are all too many that as entry-level and unqualified exponents have too much to say and think they know it all when their training actions and skills executions prove otherwise. As civvy exponents must respect the chain of command, instructors and fellow exponents, and until they test and prove themselves, they need to be quietly confident, get on with self-improvement, following orders and instructions without question. Blowhards, Krups puppies, grandstanders and bootlickers bring the sort of attention to themselves that they should not want, and if by character adjustment they cannot fix the errors of their ways, they will be cut away, but usually self-eliminate. All training members and courses attendees must be responsible, punctual, reliable, and of integrity. Those with character traits and bad attitudes will not be tolerated, and they can make no mistake about what is expected of them from all the joining information, official forms, including applications, declarations, and CQC codes of conduct contract. Everyone is responsible for their own actions and must answer to their superiors as an individual, as they apply as an individual and test as an individual. The process of addressing breaches is strict and to the point, as seen by superiors and peers, and there is no support pers or exceptions for unacceptable actions and conduct. There are a lot of this generation that cannot handle hard, heavy, and hostile training, positive bastardization, and cannot follow instructions, and if that is the case, they are in the wrong place and will usually self-eliminate or be binned. There is no favoritism. All of the same training phase exponents are equals, and everyone must pass testing to achieve promotion and rank. There is no recognition of prior training unless you have been trained, tested, and qualified by Todd Group HQ. There are no political passes, backhand salutes, and the joining and membership protocols, rank structure, codes of conduct ensure there is no easy options and that all are equals and must prove themselves as individuals. There is nowhere to hide under training and testing, and every weakness, flaw, and fault will be identified, which is a built-in proving mechanism and reality check in itself. We have a responsibility to the tradecraft to set and maintain higher standards in training, and to do this requires training, testing, and proving those that are willing, mentally tough, and prepared to follow orders and instructions, and identifying those that are not, continuing to put in the required effort. Another unfortunate fact is that so many of the current generation do not read application and courses joining information and instructions, and often fail to complete requirements including date and detail required must. Those that can't take orders and follow instructions, are not dedicated and committed, can hardly expect to be best ready and prepared to deal with criminal violence, and we have a professional responsibility to vet and train only those that are fit to undertake such training, and we will never sacrifice standards, and as a result, members and applicants must abide by conditions, requirements, codes of conduct, and do their very best at all times to achieve and maintain their best capabilities. Training joining, like with dormant members returning to training, comes down to willpower, dedication, and commitment, and if they do possess these required attributes, they can achieve, including regaining competency and physicality capabilities that they may well have lost through an extended period of inactivity. From the rest come the best, and a fraction of 1%ers that are dedicated and committed CQC MSD lifers are those that we strive to identify and qualify, and they are worth all the rest put together. They understand loyalty with honour, integrity, tenacity, and are selfless types that lead by example and are prepared to assist the rank and file with achieving competency and advancement. Candidates under testing never pass for any reason other than they surpass the requirements and prove themselves, and if no one passes a testing phase, so be it, as the process has proven its role and worth in maintaining the required high standards. If there are only single-figure exponents on courses, so be it, as it is not a numbers game. It's about standards maintaining practices that determine outcomes. Inactive members must realise if they have not maintained a high level of competency, they may well have to undertake basic training and testing again, as it is their responsibility to keep up with standards and requirements. Membership requires if you are physically able to maintain a current status and capabilities and as high a level of skills competency as you can to do so. And this equates to ongoing continuation training and or intensive courses attending. While society may accept excuses, make exceptions, in our world of preparing people for defeating violent assaulters, there are no less options or easy ways. It requires hands and boots on ongoing training, dedication, and commitment. It is all too easy through laziness, excuse-making, or losing the will and desire to keep up one's best levels of competency and capabilities to settle for being a dormant member. But if you still wish to be ready and capable, there is no other way than maintaining capabilities by being an active training member. All too many of this current generation appear to like the thought and sound of being combative capable, but are not prepared or up for the realities of training, let alone testing. Then there are those that were once up for the training challenges, but have not kept an active status, and that the rust has set in, and their desire for capabilities is not commensurate with their dedication and commitment, and sooner or later they will have to make a decision, or through conditions and requirements, it may be made for them. Coming up to our 100th anniversary in 2027, it is very evident that the numbers of highly dedicated and committed exponents of previous generations were considerably higher than today. While we will give those that are dedicated and committed every assistance with achieving their goals and objectives, attendance and participation are up to the individual exponent, proponent and instructor. While with traditional fighting arts and combat sports, there are wide-ranging schools of instruction. With our European specialist elite military armed and unarmed combat and military self-defense, we are the only training providers of our systems, and those that cannot make the grade here will not be able to find another training organisation providing our full training packages. This puts us in a unique position and status that we protect by maintaining the highest standards and setting, fitting, joining and training conditions and requirements as responsible professional training providers